Hey everyone, before we begin, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the love and support you've given on our first video. Really didn't expect any of that, to be honest, but you guys really showed up and we really appreciate it, and we hope you continue to enjoy what we're doing both on our website and what we're doing with Fooly Cooly February. And yeah, we can't thank you enough. I mean, this is kind of a passion project. Obviously, we're trying to take it into more of a business direction. You guys are going to do a lot to help us get there. So thank you so much. Fooly Cooly episode 2, titled Firestarter, came out in Japan on June 21st, 2000, and on Toonami on August 6th, 2003. The episode was directed by Ken Ando and was written by legendary screenwriter Yoji Inokito, who worked on other anime such as Sailor Moon, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Oran High School Host Club, and many others.
Mamimi is obsessed with a handheld video game called Firestarter, which involves the player performing the role of an arsonist in order to please the Lord of Black Flames. The robot who had emerged from Naota's head is kept occupied doing chores at the Nandamba residence, while Haruko, despite being the maid, performs little to no work. Mamimi manages to come into contact with the robot while he is recovering the parts from his head that Haruko had damaged, and names him Kanti, believing him to be the Lord of the Black Flames from her game. Haruko tries to break into the medical mechanica plant in town, which is in the shape of a giant iron, but fails and is taken home by Naota. A series of fires, meanwhile, are erupting around the city, and Naota visits the site of one of these fires with his 3 classmates that were introduced in the previous episode. Mott and I are watching this series in English, so naturally we associate these characters with their English voice actors, which include Eri Nina Mori being voiced by Melissa Fahn, who also played Edward in the original English dub of Cowboy Bebop. Curiously enough, she's credited here under the pseudonym Heather Lee Jolson. Following her, we have Gaku Manabe, voiced by Bob Marks, who was involved with the Digimon franchise as Gomamon. And finally, Masashi Masamune, voiced by Steve Bloom, who's been in everything. On the way home, Naota sees Mamimi down by the river and learns from the guys that she's being bullied at her school, quite frequently. Naota realizes that it's Mamimi who's starting the fires, truly believing her game to be reality. Naota finds her performing a fire ritual by the riverbank. She explains that she burnt down her old schoolhouse when she was younger because she hated the place, and had been saved from the flames by Naota's brother, which is the reason she fell in love with him in the first place. Another robot emerges from Naota's head and starts to battle Kanti. After Kanti ends up eating Naota, resulting in the two of them fusing, they're able to transform into a large howitzer-like weapon to destroy the robot. In the end, Naota's left to wonder what he can do for Mamimi, and promises himself to always be by her side. For my analytical viewing and understanding, this is Mamimi's episode through and through. Her initial appearance involves her hanging out at Naota's school in the morning, presumably before her first period. This is where Nina Mori is informally introduced to Mamimi through the perspective of Manabe and Masamune. From their point of view, Mamimi is Naota's future bride, among other rumors that they probably made up about them. Nina Mori then remarks how uncool this kind of relationship is between the two of them, which is understandable since she's only viewing them from an objective lens, not really knowing how deep the story goes between them. This episode also marks the introduction of Takun 2, Mamimi's new cat that was presumably given to her by Kanti, who actually saved the cat from a recent fire that the police have been reporting as arson. It's actually through the adoption of this cat that Mamimi starts to classify herself as a god who protects the weak. This is in reference to the in-universe video game Firestarter, which she's become addicted to. It was a little unusual for me personally to see Mamimi so casually comparing herself to a god the first time I watched this, which made me so unsure about her character. But since doing this review, more layers have opened up for me as to why she seems attached to this persona. When the middle school kids are by the river and see Mamimi wringing out her clothes, we join Naota in the realization of just how severe her high school life truly is through very brief but effective imagery. The faces of these other high school girls are blocked off, but it's pretty clear that they're going out of their way to force Mamimi into the river. The specific circumstances are unclear or even how long this has been going on for, but it gives subtle context as to why she always hangs out by the river, a question that Naota had asked her in the previous episode. Her bullies have probably hammered the idea into her mind that she belongs down there instead of in the same building with them at school, and this is most likely why she occasionally waits for Naota outside of his school, even though it creates a bit of a controversial image for the both of them.
Episode 2 in particular really likes to roll with the Pillow's soundtrack more than some of the other episodes in this series. In particular, the music, like any good anime, sets the tone for the given scene, but it feels like the scene and the music within this episode in particular are really intertwined. Specifically, the pagan ritual that Mamimi does later in the episode to the song Stalker Goes to Babylon really ties in very nicely. Another scene that represents the binding of both the animation and music is when Conti is first shown to Mamimi. The song Hybrid Rainbows swells up as Conti jumps into the air, almost angelic, which religious imagery is a pretty big theme within this episode in particular.
This also marks the first time that Mamimi gets to interact with Conti and several other characters of the series. As previously mentioned, Takun 2 was saved by Conti in a fire, and Mamimi misinterpreted this act as an angel saving the kitten. This is due to the fact that Conti was wearing a makeshift halo above his head, and black wings on his back. These were presumably placed onto the robot by Naota's dad, who also probably supplied Conti with his trademark jacket. Him, Naota's grandfather, and Haruko seem to get a kick out of using the robot for their errands, blending him in with society by dressing him up as a human, much to Naota's objections. I like that Mamimi gets to form a relationship with both Conti and Haruko simply through her association with Naota. Through the very unique shift in animation provided by Shinya O'Hara when everybody's at the house, Haruko encourages Mamimi to get out of the cold weather outside, but she claims that she's fine. It's implied that Naota's grandfather doesn't really like Mamimi's obsession with Naota's brother, so much so that he personally probably told her to stay out of the house a long time ago. We even get to see a brief exchange in glares between the two of them, which only adds on to this theory. Speaking of the shift in animation, can I just say how awesome the fluidity is on Takun 2 trying so hard to find a partner within Naota's cat? On the subject of relationships between characters, the story progresses a bit more between Naota and Haruko. Haruko starts investigating the reasoning behind Naota's connection with Medico Mechanica. What happens inside that place is still a secret for right now, but immediately after Haruko manages to find a way into the supposedly doorless building, Naota's there to bail her out with the claim that he's her guardian. I like the synergy between these two. It's like Naota's slowly but surely starting to predict Haruko's unique moves, because it's not really confirmed how he knew she was going to Medico Mechanica in the first place. They briefly discussed it at the beginning of the episode, but that was all he really had to go off of. He even brings her a little robot action figure, which apparently helps Haruko fix her crashed bike.
So, my favorite song from this episode has to be Hybrid Rainbow. I always loved how it swelled up to an amazing chorus. And while other songs such as Brand New Love Song, and further down the line you're going to get songs like Carnival that appear, I truly love how Hybrid Rainbow portrays almost this godlike nature that's happening within the scene. While Stalker Goes to Babylon and how it's used within the show I feel is much better, as it's played through Mamimi's headphones during her satanic ritual, I just like the overall execution of Hybrid Rainbow a lot more.
On the subject of music, the track that I identify with the most in this specific episode is the opening notes that come with the pillow song, Beautiful Morning with You. It plays when Naota and Mamimi are walking home together on the bridge after she's wrung out her clothes. It's a great case of characters not speaking and letting the music fill in the silence of the scene. Naota doesn't really know what to say after seeing such a depressing sight from his friend, and it's obvious when he doesn't even comment on her dropping the game that she's become so obsessed with, only watching as she lights another cigarette, and comes to the conclusion that she might have a bit of an unhealthy obsession with flames. The simple guitar riffs that repeat themselves are well executed and flow nicely with this scene, because it doesn't really have to be anything too grand. This vibe brings out a similar energy that happened on this same bridge when Brand New Love Song was playing, and it becomes apparent that music is just as important of a character in the show. We even hear the return of Little Busters later when Conti starts to fight, thus officially marking the track as the battle theme, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The major players are all together by the end of the episode as flames change the landscape around them, and I truly think this is where the story can officially begin full force.
Alrighty guys, thank you so much. This was episode 2 of our Fooly Cooly February. I hope you guys really are enjoying it. I know you loved the first episode, so I really hope you guys enjoy this equally as much. Remember, we have another episode that comes out tomorrow, which is episode 3. And we really hope you guys continue to enjoy everything. Make sure you go check out our Editor Sketchers YouTube channel down in the link below. And also make sure to check out our website. We're going to be continuing to post here. It's going to be a lot of awesome stuff. So with that being said, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Anime directors like cats because they don't have to take care of them. You know, they can't even take care of themselves. Next on Furikuri, Episode 3, Maki du Kareba. Guess which one of the sound effects is from a real cat at Gynex?